Before we begin this episode, I'd like to recognize the Harsh Rules Patreon supporters that help make content like this possible. If you'd like to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/harshrules to learn more. And once again, thank you for your support.
This is Harsh Rules. I'm Ben Harsh, and today we're going to take a look at the newest arrival here, which is The Last 100 Yards, Volume 2 and Volume 3. Now, I've had Volume 2 for a couple months now, but Volume 3 I just got in the mail, and this is the Solomon Islands campaign. So now I have all three of the modules for The Last 100 Yards that are available. So if you've ordered The Last 100 Yards Volume 3, or if you're looking to pick up a copy, they're available and out in the wild, as we say. So check those out. If you haven't got yours yet from GMT, I'm sure it'll be coming pretty soon. And if you're looking for a copy, I'm sure that if you go to your game store, they're going to be getting theirs as well fairly soon. So now with all three of these games, and if you have never, this is your first video on Last 100 Yards, so each of these can be played separately. The first volume, of course, being The Last 100 Yards, that Mike Denson, the game's creator, the series creator now, released a few years back in 2019. And then the year after that, 2020, Airborne Over Europe. And then this year, the Solomon Islands. Although more of a 2022, it was finished in 21. I got mine on, January 1st. So, but yeah, created in 2021. So, and then in the future, we have other editions coming out. But these are the three main modules. So you don't need all three. Any one of these you can play individually. So let's talk about the differences in these games. This is the first release. There is one out there on P500 for a revised edition that'll be coming out. I believe it's mostly the same, reprinted. The rule book and whatnot will be updated because Mike has made a number of changes as the series has progressed. With the second edition, what we're looking at is once again, this is an individual game that you can play on its own, but this is focused on airdrops, as it says, Airborne Over Europe. So the key differences between this and this, other than the scenarios are completely different, is that these scenarios are focused more on airborne missions. So you have rules for airdrops, you have rules for night missions, and they're more centric. So you would probably have missions kind of more in the vein of Operation Market Garden and whatnot, where there are troops being dropped in. The third volume is it's the same overall structure. So once you learn these games, you get additional rules, and in that box, because it's the Pacific, it's the Japanese, and they function very differently from the normal kind of Western forces that you have in these two games. And for those that are familiar with the rules, primarily that is around their cohesion. So with the Japanese rules, they function differently as armed forces than the other two games. So let's take a look at this third volume real quick. Bring it up front here for just a second. Once again, these two take place a lot in the similar locations, but these is in the Pacific. This volume is in the Pacific. So we have, you can see the Japanese counters here on the front are white, so they stand out pretty easily. The American Marine counters, very similar to the other games, same color sequence there. We got the 8 maps. There's the rule book, so we'll see all that in a second. But this is the game. You can see that, once again, we have, an overhead view of the maps. This is the Solomon Islands, so you're going to have a slightly different look as far as the terrain and whatnot. So let's take a look at this cover. It's tries to point out, get the Japanese theme across. I think these pictures, it's a little bit difficult to see. This one has a bit of a palm tree going on, but some of the other ones, it can be difficult to tell what theater, what's going on here. So they bring in the Japanese soldier to try to really sell it, just in case you're not able to zero in on that. So let's take a look inside real quick here. So once again, you can see, I'm going to move some of these guys out of the way. Get a better kind of a box view here. So you can see here we have the series version 2.0. So these rules, even if you own the other games, whatever the newest rule is, and even this one, there may be newer ones out there because on the GMT website, but this is going to be your series rule book for all the games. So even if you own the other two games, this latest edition is going to give you all the changes and updates and tweaks for the whole series. I've been through this a number of times. I've got videos. So once you work your way through the 6 videos that are available now, you should be able to go in here and find the differences with the Japanese rules, and you should be able to start playing quickly. If you're new to the series, you can still watch those videos. There's the unique rules here around the knee mortars and the way that Japanese forces, suffer from a hit. They don't disrupt easily. They actually don't think they disrupt at all. So they break in different ways. So then we have this playbook. And this playbook, I believe, is the exact same version that's in the other games. And it just gives you examples. I don't know if there's any Japan-specific examples in here. I think these are the basic. I flipped through this before. I don't think this is that different than the other one. But this is just examples of play. The missions, well, here's the turn track. So the turn track, this is the same structure. I don't think there's anything different on this one. It's just you get a copy. So there's one of these in each one of the game boxes. I don't think there's anything here that's that different. There might be. I don't think so. At a glance, though, I don't see anything that different. And then you have the mission cards. So it says 33 and 34. These are, across the series, so there's not 34 in the box. There's, 2. They're double-sided, so 2 per side. Okay. So you got 1, so 2. I think there's 10 missions, maybe more. 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So I think 10 missions in the game. And then here's the tables. I believe there might be some tweaks in here, but they're pretty much the same because, it shares the series rules, so I don't think vehicle destruction, assault, I don't believe there's any changes here. I don't see any, at least. And then there's another for another player, so that if you just have this game, both players have one. Then you have, of course, the cardboard counters. You can see here. Now with this game, I talked to Mike the other day on an email as I was asking about this. So these have replacement fighting vehicle counters. You'll notice a couple German guys here. So that the fighting vehicles are now more easily identified because they have the white background. So you can use these counters to replace the ones in the other game. But that's what's, kind of a little extra feature of this is before you had to kind of do some math to figure out which was a fighting vehicle. Now they're just like, you can see at a glance, like, yeah, that's a fighting vehicle. And the difference here is basically how you have half-tracks and tracked vehicles. The size of their armament is going to determine whether they're an armored fighting vehicle, well, the armor as well, or just a regular fighting vehicle. But with this new addition, you can, with the white background, it just pops right away. If they're a armored fighting vehicle, they'll have 2 armor ratings, the enfilade and the front armor. So there's that. Got the backs of those. Here's the US counters. Some Japanese counters at the bottom. Whoop, I think we got some snow. Oh, I see. It's the back side of those. Okay. And then here's the Japanese counters and some more American counters. Yep. A lot of these Japanese counters don't disrupt, so they will instead be reduced or they'll be completely eliminated. So that's a difference with the Japanese. Then we have the red, green, and yellow, die roll modifier was escaping me, DRM markers. So those are consistent from the games. And then here's some of the other markers that you have. Some of these are for mortars and things like that. Very cool. And then you have the maps. So you can see they're very, more detailed maps. Double-sided. Very cool. Lots of waterways and whatnot. I think you can see these online fairly easily, but they're nice. Quality maps, fold-out maps. Looks like a little village there. So, and then you got some dice, and that's it. I mean, it's a GMT game, so it isn't like miniatures and things we can pour over. A lot of them are counters and details. So, no, I just wanted to take a bit to show you. It is available now. Last 100 Yards, Volume 3, Solomon Islands. Check it out. So this one should be in stock. I think there's still places that have Airborne over Europe if you're preferring more of a European flavor and can't get the first edition. First edition is up on the G&T website for their P500 system. It's like basically a Kickstarter where you go and you order a copy, and when it gets to 500 copies, they'll ship them out. I think that one's coming along. So it all depends on how badly you want to play. I think if you want to play the system, your best bet is one of these two. Either one just to play if you don't care about the theater. But there are, this one was released last year. This first edition for Last 100 Yards, the first one, this is the original first edition. There's another one coming once that P500 fulfills and whatnot. So there you go, guys. Check it out. And as always, I'm Ben Harsh for Harsh Rules. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next episode.
If you found this video helpful, please give me a like and share with your friends. To be the first notified when the next episode of Harsh Rules becomes available, please hit the bell icon for notifications. And as always, this is Ben Harsh for Harsh Rules. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.